Hello and welcome, members of the Wanderverse. I'm Hannah,
And I'm producer Nick.
and you're listening to episode 39 of Into the Wanderverse, your one and only source into all things Scarlet Witch and friends. And that is bonjour, hello, guten tag, and many more.
I'm really happy that you've stuck to this since last
I'm
week.
looking at a list of our the countries that listen to us. Shout out Brazil always because some of my family way back are Brazilian. Shout out Mexico because that's where our darling Lily is. And thank you to the Netherlands. We have had such a strong listening base in the Netherlands like this entire time.
Hello to our Dutch listeners.
Hello.
Can I do the one and only Formula One reference?
No, I get to do it. That's
Okay.
that's that's my treat. You can make a Formula One reference too, but I still get one.
No, I'm not gonna take it away from you.
Okay. It's been a big week in general. Obviously, Marvel Zombies will be the main topic of this episode, so we're not going to touch on kind of anything to do with that until we get on to that. This is
Yes.
not going to be spoiler free. As you guys know, I am physically incapable of spoiler free reviews. I suffer from like a rare condition where I can't.
It's called Tom Hollanditis.
I just come out with spoilers like literally my letterbox never spoiler free, like just never, just if you're in my sphere, know that I'm incapable.
Yeah, you,
Um
you you need to be supervised by Benedict Cumberbatch on press runs.
um I will say this week we got the final issue of the Vision and Scarlet Witch, and I'm gonna confess something here. I haven't read it yet.
I also have not read it yet because I was caught up with editing, lots and lots of editing. So I haven't actually read it myself either.
I've seen the ending because like Twitter is full of spoilers, and I've seen the ending. I haven't read it yet. We will talk about it next week because we've
Yes.
kind of got a less stuffed episode.
Yes.
Um, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany were at Comic-Con yesterday, did a panel together with some really interesting stuff about Vision Quest from Paul Bettany, talking about how it's about trauma and familial trauma bonds between fathers and sons. So if that doesn't tell us that Tommy is definitely going to be in it, I don't know what does. And you have Lizzie talking about what she wants for the future of the MCU and talking about herself in it. I'm be honest, this interview is the most evidence that I have seen that I think she's in it in Avengers. She was like, she seemed engaged. Lizzie's really bad at when she's not engaged with something, you can tell. She seemed very present and engaged with everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's kind of the vibe I kind of got. I still don't think she's going to be in Vision Quest. Personally, I want to keep to my whole like clown music being played for an entire episode. But I think with how like kind of engaged with like I've seen her obviously talk about Marvel Zombies. There's a clip of her talking about her recording it and all that kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
like it is kind of interesting like her whole kind of persona at the event. Like the way she's kind of talking, it does seem as though like she's a lot more kind of with it with the Marvel thing going on at the moment, which yeah, it's good to see from her.
Well, I think the mere fact that she wanted to do this panel with Paul, knowing that the questions would be Marvel based, is very different from where she was in, say, 2022, 2023.
Yeah, I mean, that was post Endgame. I can imagine she was kind of like just done with it, and then WandaVision kind of came out.
Well,
So,
I
because
think,
WandaVision was like it was COVID, wasn't it? It was like
well,
pre-post COVID.
she filmed Multiverse of Madness and WandaVision during COVID and
Yeah,
recorded Marvel Zombies, which I knew. I think it's so interesting knowing that they were recording it around that time, that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was also recording, that they didn't get Daniel Bruhl to voice Zemo. Maybe they couldn't afford him. I don't. Um,
I got a whole thing about the voice casting, but yeah, well, I think with that kind of era, that 2020, 2019, 2020, 2021 kind of era,
Mhm.
I think it is very telling that Elizabeth Olsen at that time would be quite done with Marvel. COVID is stressful enough, especially with the arts industry at that time. And obviously not being really sure what's kind of happening with your show, and the filming challenges they had with WandaVision. Whole scenes were kind of had to be shifted around, and that is quite. I can imagine that being quite creatively exhausting.
And from what
Um,
Daniel said, she was not having the best time on the Multiverse of Madness set.
yeah.
Not that she didn't like. I just mean that it must have been exhausting too, because they filmed a lot of Multiverse of Madness in London, and with all the restrictions that were in place at the time. This is not me slagging off the production of Multiverse of Madness. This is me just talking in general about like, COVID restrictions and how difficult that made filming something as big as a Marvel movie.
I mean, I lived in England at that time because England and Scotland had different rules, and I can tell you for sure that England was making up the rules every single week. There was a different rule, so I can imagine from a production standpoint that is particularly stressful to deal with. So yeah, it wouldn't. It is not surprising that back then, Lizzie would just kind of just be done with it. She just, there was a very much a Marvel fatigue with her that I can imagine that I can imagine these productions are very stressful to deal with anyway. They're very, very large scale and lots of kind of moving machinery. And you add COVID on top of that, and then you add the fact that it's like so many productions all one after the other. I can understand why she just didn't really want anything to do with it. So you put that contrast to 2025, she does seem a lot more engaged and a lot more happy and to be talking about this and being on a Comic-Con panel with Paul Bettany, which I was surprised about when I heard that that was happening. I was like, oh, she's on a panel. That's
And what is interesting, and the only little piece of Deluluism that I have, I, in contrast, I think that she is featured in Vision Quest in some way because this set was so locked down. It was like we haven't had a single leak from this set, which is kind of mad based on like literally we've had more Doomsday leaks
I
than we've
mean
had Vision Quest.
people. I'm
Wait, let
gonna
me let
I'm
me
gonna
fin- let
say
me
it like
finish. Let me
people.
finish. Let me
Okay,
finish. I don't think she's playing Wanda. I think she's playing Virginia.
interesting. So
So they
can I can we
cast.
can we clarify then? Can we clarify then a very specific point with the clown music? Is it Elizabeth Olsen coming back in Vision Quest, or is it Wanda Maximoff played by Elizabeth Olsen coming back in Vision Quest?
I'll say that I'm gonna full send. I still think there'll be flashbacks. I think she's in it, and I do think, and but I like I don't know. You can play like half clown music if she's in it as Virginia.
No, 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 I won't do that. I think it has to be the full Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff has to be full clown music.
Well, I do think that she was taking and seeming very comfy with the Vision Quest showrunner, and they've never worked together before, as far as I know. So I'm just like, interesting. Just like it was interesting to me. We know they were casting for Viv. So if there's a Viv, then there's a Virginia. So I'm interested. I'm sat.
Yeah, I mean, we were sat anyway, but yeah, no, I get it.
The other like fun thing that she said on this panel was we finally got the answer to why her new Avengers suit never appeared again.
What was
And
the answer?
for years we thought she was just like uncomfortable with how booby it was, but apparently she physically could not sit down or move in it.
Okay,
And so she literally wore it for one day. She didn't she filmed the one scene that she's in at the end of the Avengers, shot those promo photos, and then she never wore it again
because the
because
the law behind that was that it was meant to be Spider-Man, wasn't it? There was a plate, and it was either her or Spider-Man, if I remember rightly. And
no,
then no, am I thinking of a different person? It was Falcon. Was it meant to be Falcon?
she was always going to be there. They had Captain Marvel stand-in on set.
Right.
There was no, it was always going to be her and Sam.
Okay.
But there was Captain Marvel was originally filmed on that day as well as a new Avenger.
I wonder where I got the Spider-Man plate from then.
I'm not sure because I have the like Age of Ultron art book in my room, and I read her bits recently.
Okay,
Um,
I
but
believe you.
yeah, I mean, I've always mourned that costume because I liked it so much, but I don't know why they would give her a suit that she physically couldn't move in.
I mean, Michael Keaton can never move his neck in the Batman costume, so um, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, she just has to move her arm. Her power set just does not allow for her to be very still.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, so that's the lore. Thank you for all the photos, by the way, Wanda's attorney, of her in that outfit because it's always been one of my faves. I now understand why it was retired, but I have always loved it. I just thought it was a little bit more detailed, a little bit more comic based than the just straight corset. But RIP to a legend. Don't know why you were made like that. We've had no more merch news yet this week, but I'd imagine that we should get some movement on Marvel Zombies merch at some point because we were told that they were delaying putting merch out to avoid spoilers. But I'm curious now what that means. If I guess maybe it's gonna spoil some of the deaths in this show. Um, and we did promise last week that we would do a bit of rumor patrol.
Rumor Patrol.
Um, the rumors about how or why Wanda is appearing in this movie, talking about Avengers, are crazy. Every day there is a new rumor. Each of them are interesting. We are we're leaning heavily on the idea that we are going to see some version of the House of Magnus in this movie. So that would be Polaris, Quicksilver, and Wanda in their kind of like almost like Wolverine and the X-Men kind of
Yeah,
mode.
yeah.
And there seems to be some legitimacy. Like this has come up several times now, and I know it is what Ian McKellen really wants. So I imagine there has been some kind of conversations. Whether or not they ever actually came to fruition or if it was just a conversation, I feel like this must have been on the table in some way, shape, or form. Because we've been hearing this for so long now. Obviously, there's been just so many rumors of what Wanda will do in this movie. It's been quote unquote confirmed 5 or 6 times that she's in this film. I just want to once again say it has not been.
She does not have a chair.
Nope. I think the only person who doesn't have a chair, who we can kind of solidly say is in the movie, would be Peggy Carter. The noise has been, and to be fair, I would be so stunned with the direction of the MCU if we didn't see the Young Avengers.
Yeah, it the not having the Young Avengers. I mean, we got some like Young Avengers Light, spelled Lite, with the first episode of Marvel Zombies. So it's it's kind of like, well, why wouldn't they do it? Like, why wouldn't you do it? Like, you spent years trying to put this together. Why wouldn't you do it? Um, yeah.
So, Rumor Patrol is that the rumors are basically that Wanda will be in this thing. Lizzie Olsen seems warm towards the idea. She didn't once again be like, I'm not in it. She was very like, oh, she talked about where she wants to see the MCU going. And her comment, which I think was interesting, was, I want us to keep surprising people. And I was like, with what, Lizzie? um, yeah. So that's the rumor troll. And now we're going to give way to, I think this is going to be a long conversation about Marvel Zombies. So if you have not seen the show, this is going to be full of spoilers. We are going to talk about every episode and all of the twists. So if you don't want to know, log off.
You'll see you next time. Rate and
Come
review us on Apple Podcasts, and
back.
you can find me on
Stay
the Film
magical.
Nick, and you can find Hannah on Into the Wonderverse. And see you next week. Stay magical, everyone.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. First thoughts. What's your rating out of 5?
Oh, this is my letterbox starring review, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do the letterbox star reviews for the Marvel shows. But
I don't even know if you can.
yeah,
Didn't
you
I don't know if
can.
you can for this one because I think that because it might be an ongoing series. Let me check. Because I haven't
No,
rated it.
it's on letterbox.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, I could have rated that. Damn, the last thing on my letterbox right now is the Ice Tea War of the Worlds movie. Ice Cube even. I think it's Ice Cube.
you're staying on brand, Hannah. The so I think for me, we're looking at about a 3.5. Which 3.5 maybe is not quite a 4, but it's a positive review for me.
Yeah.
I have my gripes a little bit. But overall, like, last week you asked me what my expectations were, what we're hoping for. And the main one I think was the animation to be a bit better and to be a bit more kind of like focused in with its story and to be quite daring. And
Mm.
I think we got all three of those to varying levels of success. So
Mhm.
it's very telling that this is a 2 hour, 3 minute movie split into four episodes. But I think they did a very good job in terms of splitting it up narratively to make up those four episodes.
I
Uh,
agree.
and yeah, no, I think I mean I don't know how we're gonna go about reviewing this, if we go episode by episode or just touch on various different things as we go. But I'm interested to know what you think, Hannah.
I am also
Pretend that I didn't watch your TikTok.
I also would give it like I've watched some of it again and sat with it for a while and I'm also at a 3.5 stars, heading towards 4. My I really liked I loved the range of characters. I was I was pleasantly surprised by how many characters they brought and like some of the really unique dynamics in the show. Like I never thought I would see Jimmy Woo and Deathbringer. I can't remember
Death
the
Dealer.
Death Dealer in a bromance. Like no one was asking for that, but I did enjoy it. Zemo and John Walker team up. Loved that. Again, really sad, no Daniel Bruhl, because as everyone knows, I love him and I love Zemo. Um, but yeah, I really like some of the concepts in the show. The raft. I do wish it would maybe been a little bit longer. And my main issue with the show, I will discuss my complex feelings around Wanda later. But my main issue is the kind of lack of clarity around a couple of the storytelling points. It's since been clarified. Some of the points, like why did Wanda want Kamala so bad? Because she never. How much of her brain does she have? We don't know because she's a very different. It's the same Wanda from What If, but like how did what is going on there? Is it magic that's been made her able to like do illusions again? I just needed a little bit more, and I do think that they missed a trick by once they decided it was going to be a show, not showing us how these people got bit because these are Earth's mightiest heroes, you know. So it's like I have like gripes like that I think a second season could clear up. But I actually thought there was some really gorgeous animation there. Like there's the moment with Blade Knight where you see Khonshu in the sword, and I was like, love that. I really loved how scary it was, but not in like a. There was violence, obviously, that was like Thor's head got stamped in, and I was like, ew, when that happened. But I didn't feel like the scare factor was based on like jump scares, which is the obvious zombie move. Wanda was truly horrifying as like a concept, especially like the kind of red wedding moment we got in New Asgard. Um yeah, I there's a lot to love when I separate again, once it's I sat with it for a while as a Wanda fan and I have weird feelings on Wanda as this villain as she stands without further clarification.
The motivation part is something that I struggled with multiple times. I was almost having to take a step back and be like, "Hang on, why are you doing this?" It wasn't very clear with Wanda in particular. I think what was interesting for me, like the animation stuff, there's some stunning animation in it. Like the Blade Moon Knight. Like I said in my Letterboxd review, I would like an action figure of him. Really cool. And like some of the
He
animation
has a
stuff.
Funko.
Yeah, maybe. I think with I think with yeah, the animation is like really cool. There's like that first kind of big action sequence, which is the Icarus Carol Danvers fight in the sky.
Shout
Really,
out to that concept. I One of my favorite little things from this show was this idea of this ever like forever battle between Icarus and Captain Marvel. Hats off. Loved that.
yeah, big fan of that as well.
Such a cool concept. Again, would have loved to have seen where the frick are the other Eternals, you know? Like,
I mean, I initially thought it was Adam Warlock initially, because I thought that was, initially, but then I had to kind of like be like, oh no, no, wait, that's not, that's actually someone else, and then it took me a minute to kind of realize that it was actually Icarus. The animation with the like all the stuff undersea was pretty cool. I really liked the flooding of the raft stuff. And then especially like I was a big fan of the Infinity Hulk animation. So him having this really like black void like body with the white and then like these colors kind of coming off with the white surrounding him. Like this is like that's almost like concept artwork style. Not quite as groundbreaking as like Spider-Verse or the other one that I'm thinking of. Not quite as groundbreaking as Spider-Verse, but like still like this is it's really cool animation to see. And like one of my complaints about What If was like it wasn't being daring enough with the animation. It's like they got these amazingly like the whole point of What If is you got this sandbox you can do whatever you want with, and it felt very rigid. Whereas this was
mhm.
like no, they're stretching themselves quite a bit. So the Infinity Hulk animation I thought was really cool. Big fan of that. So
Obsessed with what they did with T'Challa. Some of the best handling since, I'm going to say it, since Paul Walker in Fast and Furious.
the yeah the Paul Walker so the Paul Walker of it all for those aren't aware is that he died in the production of during the production of Fast and Furious 7.
Hmm.
And thing with Paul Walker, big part of the series, and they did this thing where they used a combination of his brothers, double like outtake footage and a bit of CGI to kind of do a goodbye, a send off to the character. And from somebody who was a big fan of the series, I was in tears watching that fork in the road and Brian going off on a separate way. Absolutely incredible. The Chadwick Boseman of it all, because T'Challa was quite a big thing with the original Marvel Zombies episode. It was like, well, how are they going to do this? And I think having Spider-Man do the narration, I think it fits really well in with Spider-Man, wanting to tell a story about what happens, and like having T'Challa, Black Panther take down Thanos in this flashback sequence. I think it worked really well as a narrative device.
Hmm.
Um, and also like it gave Paul Rudd less lines in a role that I think really could have been voiced by any other voice actor and maybe not wasted their budget on Paul Rudd.
I really just, yeah, I think that there was some really masterful handling of like emotions in, I think there was, and one thing I will say is, I said it in my TikTok, but I felt that they did a good job of establishing relationships between characters very quickly in a way that they have maybe struggled with in other projects, like seeing, I mean, it made me think, where the hell is Melina in all the other projects that Yelena's been in since? But the camaraderie between Melina and Yelena and Alexi. was really, really good. Also, yeah, the Young Avengers, I was rooting for them. Like, I actually thought that Riri, Kate, and Kamala worked really well together. And I
100%.
was like, this
Like,
is just voice acting.
yeah, 100%. Why aren't these three in a live action movie together? Like, and you had Florence Pugh in there. You've got $1 billion making movie. Like, the girls will go out and see that. You want to expand to your like your female audience more. Like this, that's the way to do it. Like, Iman Vellani is a hell of. She's an incredibly charismatic and likable actress. Dominic Thorne, we already talked about how great she is as Riri and Ironheart. Obviously, we all know how great Haley Steinfeld is, and who the hell doesn't love Florence Pugh? You've got these four incredible actresses and these four really good roles, young roles as well, like characters. They're missing out on a trick here. So, I'm glad we got some interplay between Kamala Khan, Riri, and Kate Bishop because it worked really well, really sold that first episode, and especially like raised the stakes when Riri and Kate died off. It was quite surprising. I was like, "Oh my God, they killed Kate!" And obviously, it's like, "Oh, that's Haley Steinfeld." As soon as she started talking, I was like, "Oh, that's Haley Steinfeld." So like it really kind of set the stakes, as in like, no one's safe. Um,
Yeah, I thought they did a very good. The the only exception to the no one's safe rule to me is Spider-Man. Like I knew that my man's was going nowhere.
I mean, he
In
did
that
nearly get
final, like
eaten by Hope at the end.
he did, but I knew he was fine. Like of all the characters, I was like, once they killed off Kate, I was like, okay, nobody is safe. But uh I knew that Spider-Man was safe the whole time. Okay, let's talk about the wonder of it all.
Okay, well, we'll do the wonder of it all.
Okay, so initially on my first watch, I was like, this is just so cool. I was just so happy. I think Lizzie did a phenomenal job with the voice acting.
I agree.
Except obviously they couldn't get her back because there's occasionally there'll be a line and like somebody else's voice is there for like a hot second. Like when she says, no, Kamala Khan, I is clearly voiced by somebody else, just the part where she says I. And I'm like, what an odd thing to do. But I like I thought Elizabeth Olsen gave a hell of a performance. I think that the Scarlet Witch was a really scary villain. I think that the idea of the Queen of the Dead is very cool and these scions of the Queen. My issue comes in I first off what we've already said is that I guess her motivation is that she's a zombie and so she just wants to spread the virus, but like that's never said. She obviously we only get her like persuasive version of what she wants, but no explanation of how or what she's doing. I know it's kind of from Kamala's point of view, but still very unclear. And I it's been clarified now that the reason Wanda needed Kamala is because she needed her power to contain like use her bangle, I think, to contain the stones or the energy or something.
Shouldn't need to explain that in post after the episode, after the fact. It should be in your text. If it's not in your text straight away, you've done a poor job in your text.
Second off, I do struggle, and the thing is, these scripts are being written at the same time with it's kind of the same thing as Multiverse of Madness. The evil witch goes after a child, and it's getting a bit weird now. Like it feels like Wanda's unsafe around children, or like young adults. Like, and it's just I, I don't know who else they could have put in that role who's powerful enough. I get it, but like we saw her at the end of in the What If episode, she shows grief when she realizes the Vision is dead. She has
Yes,
this moment of like she's and he's been feeding her like he loves her still and since WandaVision, the MCU has suffered. And again, this was I can't account for I know this when this was made, but I just gotta talk about it in the context of the MCU because like Wanda spends the whole of WandaVision so desperately trying to keep Vision. For him to just never be a factor again afterwards is just so odd. Like, if you've seen the What If VR game, again, Wanda was the big bad in that as well. It feels like she's become this very. It's the same way that everybody wanted to use Dark Phoenix. It feels like she's become this very easy, because her set is so wide, it's become very easy to make her the generic villain in like everything, whether that has anything to do with her personality or not. And
Yeah.
it's such a departure from where we are in the comics as well. Like we talk about, or like rivals. We're starting to see some rivals synergy with the comics. I think it's starting to feel lazy for Wanda to be the big bad
It is
because
it is telling, like you said, that these kind of things were kind of written at the same time as each other, Multiverse of Madness, because I felt there was a lot of parallels between the characters. I felt like maybe it was kind of where they were going at the same time with what we're going to do in this post WandaVision world. And I think where they went with what if, and like it was a scary concept. It's just like, oh yeah, no, it would be scary as hell if Wanda was a zombie. And at that point, it was just like she was just a monster. There was no motivation. It was just like she just wanted to eat brains. That was it. The the Marvel Zombies version that we got here, she's got motivation, but we don't really grasp it other than she wants Kamala and she wants to destroy the world or remake the world. And that's exactly the same as WandaVision that she wanted to, well, in WandaVision, she accidentally remade the world and Agatha kind of fed into it because of the, power and what have you. And then with Multiverse of Madness, it was she wanted this power to kind of regain something that she had lost. With Marvel Zombies, it almost feels like a mashup between the two, and considering kind of what we're getting in the what we got in the comics over the last few years and now as well, like it does feel quite reductive, and it's just like are they have they done this deliberately because they are feeding into a redemption arc? But the problem is movie audiences are a lot less forgiving than comic book readers.
mhm.
You start murdering children and you start coming after children, and it's the John Wick problem. You kill a dog, you're not going to get your audience back. Um, you have to do something incredibly like powerful to redeem yourself from killing a dog. And in John Wick, it was murdering thousands of Russian gangsters. In for Wanda's case, it's like, what is the redemption arc after wanting to kill children? Um, it's one of my fiance's favorite sayings, which is cool motive, still murder. Like you can want to reshape the world, you can want your kids back, but at the end of the day, it's still murder. And it's a case of like, what is the redemption arc here? You're going to do the Children's Crusade thing, which I think is the smart thing to do. But again, like, this feels very stuck in 2020, 2021. And I say that as somebody who's a fan of Multiverse of Madness.
I think as well, it's really weird to view this in a post Agatha world where we had this whole show that's about deconstructing stereotypes around witches and about women, and to then go back to she's like the moment in Multiverse of Madness that I hate, where they're like, oh, she's a witch, and they spend the whole of Multiverse of Madness using witch as like a slur, which is so funny.
Yeah.
To then go and do Agatha. And I was thinking, like, what is Death doing right now? What's Agatha up to during this entire malarkey? Was Lilia just like bolted down in her shop? I just feel like it was, yeah, there are elements I enjoyed it as a piece of entertainment when I was not thinking about the wider context of what I'm always thinking about. Okay, what will this mean for Wanda's character and people's perception of her? Because it's so crazy to me to now be in this world where like literally every 6 months, actually less than that, every 3 months or so, we log into Twitter and we're doing the same like tired argument about Wanda and just like, I mean, people were mad about quote unquote how OP she is and like it's a cartoon. Like I'm not even gonna slightly get into the power scaling of it all. I don't care. It's a cartoon.
Fictional characters, everybody. No one cares about power scaling.
Literally, like it does not matter that people are like she shouldn't have been able to do. I'm like it's a means to an end. It's a cartoon. So like just I don't care about any of that. What I care about is what it means for again, like every cartoon. Like it's crazy because like next year they're releasing the House of Harkness graphic novel, right? Where Wanda is very much herself in that she like is like she's the heroine. She cares and like her entire like literally in the comics she is the hero of the hopeless. The last door. Your last hope. And for so many years in the comic books, that is what she was. She has been so consistently good. Everybody in the comic books has had a villainous turn at some point because that's just how comics and cartoons work. Like when you grew up, there was always the episode of like whatever show. Like I'm thinking of American Dragon for whatever reason, but like where somebody gets possessed by a lamp or whatever and they go mad. Or Charmed or Buffy or any of these shows, it's a narrative device. So Wanda obviously had turns to the dark side as a comic book character, but like I'm sorry, Reed Richards, like let's not go to the Reed Richards of it all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
make her much.
Malice for or Malice for Sue Storm. Like so I don't really want to hear about, well, she's always had turns to the dark side. I'm like, so is everyone. Like literally so is everyone.
Yeah, Peter Parker has. He sold his
The
soul to the devil like twice.
the difference is, of course, that Wanda's House of M changed everything. Disassembled in House of M is such a weird blemish on her entire arc that has now like if you like again if you were in the 90s and you were like Wanda has been the main villain of like three different projects, they would have been like, what are you talking about? Like that's crazy. Because it just wouldn't it would be a weird take. I really don't love this narrative for her because it feels like the same thing that happened to Jean. And it is only a thing that happens to women. Quicksilver has gone to the dark side so many more times.
But no one cares.
No one cares. Like, and it's really powerful women. Like, I swear to God, like it just does frustrate me, especially kind of. And it honestly, if you think about Agatha too, like Agatha in the comics, she's been a little bit morally gray at times, but she was never a villain. Like she's never been a villain until WandaVision made her one.
It does feel as though there is a trope. I know we're kind of talking quite grand at this point rather than getting into the nitty-gritty of Marvel Zombies, but I think we'll finish up this thought
Mhm.
process and go back onto zombies. But there is a trope and a character type where it's the strong woman with powers or strong woman cannot handle her powers because cannot contain them because they are emotional and they end up losing control, and it's bad that they lose control. You reference Buffy, there's something that happened with Willow in Buffy.
Mhm.
You mentioned, we're talking if we carry on with He Who Must Not Be Named, Firefly and Serenity did that with River Tam. Um, when we had Jean Grey pop up in the early 2000s, straight away it was like X2, she dies, for so on and so forth, and it's like we're gonna go to the Phoenix Saga, and then it was like we're gonna do that, and then literally like 5 years later they did
Yeah.
it again with Sansa Stark, and like there is this ongoing trope with women kind of can't handle their power because they are too emotional, and that's what made Captain Marvel good for me. It was a very, very strong narrative choice for Captain Marvel because Jude Law was giving it all that and being like, you're being held back. These are your limits. Like you have to have your limits, kind of thing. And it's like, no, you're strong because you have this power. Not you're not weak because of it. And so when he's like throwing down his guns and he's like, "Come on, let's go man to man," we'll do this the old-fashioned way. And she's like, "No, fuck you," and that's why that is so satisfying to watch because it goes against the trope that we have had shoved down our throats for so many years. And that was from 2018. Captain Marvel was 18.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I do really feel like yeah. And I think that Marvel Zombies yeah, to get back into it, I just feel like because it's interesting. It's hard because I know this was shot so long ago. but it feels repetitive, especially that this was being produced at the same time. We know there's no communication at Marvel. Well, at the time there wasn't a lot of communication between projects, and I hope that kind of as we're going forward, there is more communication. We've heard a lot about what would be in a potential second season. That obviously like characters like Bucky, who we just didn't see. He was
Yeah.
such a main part of the Marvel Zombies episode. What was he doing? Because he got like yeeted, right? And then everyone else, like Spider-Man and Scott Lang's head, get saved, and they just left Bucky to like go sit in a hole, I guess. He went underground.
Yeah,
Um,
went disappeared somewhere.
it's so funny, like because Steve's dead. All literally, Falcon's dead. Like all of his friends are dead. So I don't know what he was doing. Like even from the comics, I'm running through it, and I'm like, literally none of his comic friends are alive either. Was he just like stuck it out with the rest of the Eternals? I just I'm nervous, right? That in a potential second season, they'll be really eager. I feel like they chose characters of people who were already on set for
Has
stuff.
has there been any word, any rumblings, any
We've
rumors?
the rumors have been that like basically watch the show and we'll get a second season.
Okay.
And like that makes sense, I guess.
Can I ask about can we touch on the voice acting of it all? So we got Imin Vellani, we got Dominic Thorne, we got Haley Steinfeld, we got Florence Pugh, which was a great surprise. David Harbour, Simu Liu, Awkwafina, Randall Park, Wyatt Russell, Paul Rudd, Tessa Thompson, which was a surprise, F. Murray Abraham, and the one and only Elizabeth Olsen. And then the rest are kind of filled out with just voice actors. It's it's not a surprise that Tom Holland isn't voicing Spider-Man because I'd imagine that all kind of touches on the contract, the Sony contract was all quite messy with that. Also, and like I'd imagine Paul Rudd probably took a reduced fee for this because at the end of the day, he just likes doing stuff. You could probably pay him a tenner and he'll more than happily do a voiceover for something. Um, I think it was like when Thor shows up, it's just like, did they no, they can't afford Hemsworth.
Well,
They don't have Hemsworth
they've
money.
also used the I know that the actor who is Thor and the woman that usually does Natasha have a very established relationship with the studio
Yeah.
because they're from Avengers Assemble and they've done a lot of the video games. They're kind of they're married to each other as well.
Oh.
Um, and ScarJo is never coming back. She's never coming back. So I'm so sorry to all my Black Widow girlies, but like she's not coming back. Like she signed whatever she signed after the Black Widow debacle,
Yes,
and
the streaming nonsense that Disney pulled, yeah.
Miss Ma'am will not be returning.
Um
I think the most glaring one to me, I obviously immediately knew it wasn't Daniel because I was like that's not Nicky Lauda. Um,
I
I
mean,
know his voice.
if Elizabeth Olsen recorded all this back in 2020, 2021, it is just a case of who they are able to kind of get in touch with. And if I memory serves, Chris Hemsworth was kind of semi kind of done with acting at that point. He wanted to focus on his family. So it's not a surprise that, he didn't show up. Um, and like it is just a case of who is I think it is like a case of who is available. Um my so my I wanna do like a kind of like a positive kind of talk. We talk a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
criticisms and stuff. Um can you give me two or three things that you loved, and then I will give a couple of things that I loved, and then we'll kind of wrap up from there.
I genuinely did love, putting aside everything I've said, the menace that Wanda was to this show. Like the the parts of her going back to those red glowing eyes for her human form, which does work better obviously in cartoon than it does in, but I always loved that in Age of Ultron. It brought back a legitimate feeling of fear around her. I loved everything about the performance that Elizabeth Olsen gave to the role, and I really loved the like red wedding sequence moment. My second thing I really loved, I adored the concept of Zemo using the raft as like a um this like floating city. It was giving very District 13 in the Hunger Games, but I really loved it, and I loved this use of Zemo's character, though I wish they'd given him his sword from the comics. But I really I liked how seamlessly they were able to move through these different kind of stages of the hero's journey was really well done in the show. And then finally, I bawled when Yelena died. Genuinely was gutted to see her go, and I did feel like they gave proper emotional weight to that death in a way that they have struggled sometimes to do in the main canon. The mourning of characters in this show was very well done, and I think that they captured human emotion very well. And just a bonus, everything about Khonshu.
So I'm gonna kind of piggyback on that a little bit. I think the voice acting was very, very strong across the board. I think the best voice performance, given like how maybe like small amount of screen time, I thought that Florence Pugh like killed it with the voice performance.
Hmm.
It's very, very hard to do that kind of emotional connection with just your voice. And Florence has an incredible voice. She has an incredible voice. Let's just go out there and say it anyway. And it's very, very expressive. And I think she's able to do so much with it. And I think we got that in the show. The voice acting as well in general was just great. I think David Harbour really, really sold the enthusiasm. Awkwafina and Simu, like they got real chemistry, and I'm really glad that they brought that to it. And it was really great for Jim from The Office to get some work as well. And then obviously Elizabeth Olsen was, I think it was a very, very strong voice performance. I'm not going to put it up there with Elizabeth Olsen's best roles as Wanda, but I think, yeah, it was a very good voice performance. Secondly, I think the animation was a lot, 100 times better than What If. Um, Kind of leaning into the third point, the animation was very, very fluid. And what that meant was you were able to draw tension in the frames with how you are setting the scene. An example being is that siege on the Shield complex in Ohio. We got Ghost uh, doing her thing, and as a zombie ghost, which is quite legitimately quite scary, really. And Khonshu or Blade Knight, Moon Knight, um, that fluidity with his animation made that fight like you'll get I got real tension from having Ghost kind of pick off those Black Widows and be just being generally kind of around and doing her thing. And it was like I'm actually genuinely scared that she's going to really mess things up. So when Moon Knight was able to kind of just dispatch her with that kind of efficiency, there was this slow motion slash fast forwarding with his animation, and it was incredibly impressive. And I do mean it. I would really like a Moon Knight slash Blade action figure. This is what I think is what made What If the potential What If really cool. Instead, we got Captain Carter several times over. So yeah, I think it really got the fear factor, and I think the animation really, really sold that. Again, the Infinity Hulk, the look of Infinity Hulk is just really cool. And yeah, no, good job. As I said, it's like three and a half stars.
Hmm.
I've
And I
said
think a lot of potential in a second season
yeah.
to build upon what they did. Now that they know it's going to be in a TV format, I think that that would help
Can
in
we
terms of,
can we have predictions then on the cliffhanger based on the cliffhanger?
well, obviously Riri's alive. Yay. um well, we knew that Friday was going after her, which, Friday is competent. I would expect to see my nerves are that they would want to cram the Fantastic Four in somehow. Um, because that's the real spearhead of the MCU right now. But I think that things that I would love to see are obviously where I really want a flashback episode where we establish who got bitten, how, where, and why. I think that they would listen to the feedback, and I think that they would hopefully make the motivations and how zombie brains work more clear. And I would expect to see um Bob, maybe.
Sentry, yeah.
I would expect to see who else has been popular? Uh Not Loki because he's dead. Well, no. Well, yeah, he must be dead because of Thor. I
Obviously,
was
Deadpool and Wolverine.
oh, no, thank you. Um I well yeah, I mean they have the infinity energy still exists. So I imagine the plot of the second season would be trying to use the infinity energies for their own means to like reverse everything.
Yeah,
Would be my guess about what the plan would be. I'm trying to think. There's so many people dead now. I'm like honestly like struggling to come up with. I mean, again, Bucky is alive somewhere. I don't remember who else they were mentioning. They would want to use in the second series, but the rest of the Eternals are technically fair game, I guess. Um, Monica Rambeau, Agatha. Um, there's all these characters who are now fair game. Obviously, you can't use the
there's also the what if of it all as well. Like if Moon Knight was kind of latching onto Blade, then there's other kind of potential with that kind of angle maybe.
maybe. I hope they don't explore too much into the like. I want them to stick like to this universe.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I don't want. I want to keep it grounded on this Earth. Because I think that it keeps the stakes higher.
it
I would definitely be seated for a season two.
yeah, I think I would be as well. It's interesting to me that they've ruled out the complete possibility of like going off world with this, which I think is really quite a good idea. Um, and I think it really kind of sets the stakes really, really well. So I personally don't see a way back for this world, but I'll be interested to see what a season two holds.
Absolutely. Yeah, 3.5 stars from both of us, but a happy 3.5 stars. I have like obviously these like existential thoughts, but within the context of the show, I was locked in.
Yeah,
I watched them all like back to back to back, and I
same,
was really happy
same.
with that.
Yeah, I think that if I'm gonna say if you listen to all this and you're still deciding on how to watch it, I think that's the way to watch it is treat it like its original format, which is the 2 hour movie.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it wasn't a slog at all. Um, it was very engaging. So next week we will be finishing off Avengers United They Stand. We will talk about issue 5 of The Vision and the Scarlet Witch. Keep you updated on all the news. And then if you guys have any feedback you'd like us to read out about Marvel Zombies, please feel free to use the fan mail button or DM me or DM Nick or uh go off. Comment on YouTube. Thank you so much. We've had a really strong turnout on YouTube recently. We do see you guys and we do really appreciate you guys tuning in. And you guys have been so sweet about the interview. I cannot be more grateful for the way that you guys have come out for me on Twitter and like really made me like this interview already meant a lot to me, but the positive feedback and the sweet messages, I treasure everyone. I get so embarrassed um because I don't know how to take a compliment. But genuinely it really means a lot to me that you guys enjoyed it and that you guys would spend your time tweeting about it, you know?
Okay.
Did you have something to say? Yeah,
No,
no?
I was just gonna say no. I saw the feedback on the episode as well, and it's really great to see. And I'm really hoping that we'll be able to give future moments to you guys in the coming months and year or so.
I want to give a special shout out to Monogram International this week, who were kind enough to send me a box of their Marvel Zombies bag clips. They are so cute. Wanda is included. It's not Blade Knight because this is comic based, but there is a Moon Knight um like bag clip too that's very cool. There's Daredevil, Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, the usual suspects. But Jean Grey is one of the mysteries, and there's also Captain Marvel for the girlies. So thank you so much to Monogram International for sending those to me. You can find them on Entertainment Earth and Toy Wiz for sale. And I'm sure that they'll be on shelves soon as well. But go and get them. They're actually very. I love literally Nick collects the bag clips. Amy Lee collects bag clips. Monogram International bag clips, bang. But if you cannot wait to hear more from us, then as you know, I'm super chronically online. So you can find me over on TikTok at Into the Wonderverse, Instagram at The Wonderverse. Um, I think my Twitter is also The Wonderverse. But basically, if you search Into the Wonderverse, you'll find me, Hannah Maximoff. Yeah.
And you can find me on Instagram, the Film Nick, where I do a little bit of posting. I'll be ramping up some we'll say behind the scenes, but some maybe a teaser trailer for my next short film. So keep an eye out for that. And also my other podcast may be coming back, so keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, you can also find me on the Film Nick on Letterboxd.
Yeah. Um, if you want to send us any feedback or letters or anything, obviously comments, we read them all. DM us, we read them all. But you can also send us actual mail to our PO box, which you can find linked in my bio. We will, and if you want something to be read out on the show, like let me know. Like if you send me a message and you want me to talk about it on the show, like let me know. I never want to invade anybody's privacy. So if something is for public consumption, like just give me a shout out and I will make sure that we talk about it.
Yeah.
Um, thank you.
Please rate and review us on iTunes or Apple Podcast or Spotify or whichever podcast platforms are out there. I know Apple Podcasts do reviews, and the more reviews, the better. So if you wanted to, be happy. Please do that.
Thank you as always to the amazing, wonderful, special, perfect Lily for her gorgeous, gorgeous artwork, which we could not be more grateful for. If I could commission you every week, Lily, you know that I would. The music is by Melody Ray Griffiths, and until I see you next time, lights out and away we go. Stay magical.
So everybody listening, here is another special treat for you. This is my fiance's thoughts
My best friend, my sister, the best person ever, smartest person in the world.
and my fiance, future wife.
I
This
was
is
here first.
her thoughts on Marvel Zombies.
I really liked it. I really liked the animation style. It got me. I was reading at the time that Nick put it on, um, but then I got sucked in because I just saw three girlies
Mm-hmm.
on an adventure, and I was like, "Oh, the girls are on an adventure."
Yeah.
Um, and then that didn't last very long.
No.
Um, but
They kept giving you new people to watch
yeah.
that.
I I was down for it. To be honest, I didn't I haven't seen most of the recent projects, so
Mm-hmm.
most people were unknown to me. Like I haven't seen Moon Knight and I
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen like the recent Hawkeye stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know where any of like our characters were from like from any time in the last 5 years. Um I
You
only
got snapped.
I only know the OG Marvel when it was still good, and then
Oh, oh, contentious. Contentious.
um, But I didn't really need to. I mean, I guess there was a little bit of like, who is she and what does she do? I was asking Nick.
Miss Marvel.
I
Oh,
really liked
Kamala.
her. She was a vibe.
Her show is really cute. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, maybe. I really liked her. And it made me want to watch What If, because I didn't watch What If
Hmm.
because I'm not involved in watching any of the Marvel stuff. Um, but when Nick was talking about all of the changes they made and where they took some of the What If stuff and blah blah blah, and it made me want to watch kind of a little bit more of what they've got going on with the zombies stuff, although I know it is a completely different show.
It's the same. It's a continuation, though. It is a continuation of the What If episode.
So I guess my review is that I was quite happy, even though I am not up to date on the projects from the last 5 years minimum. I still did really like zombies. I liked that it was a little bit spooky, a little bit gory. Like it wasn't a very soft show. People died.
Yeah, they died. Who was your favorite character?
Um, you've asked me for a name, and I'm just gonna go, well, obviously, what's her face?
Kamala.
Yeah, I liked her main character. I
Hmm.
didn't really get Wanda. But yeah, I didn't have many complaints. I thought I don't ever really care about long fighting sequences, so I did not stay awake for that.
Good for you, Queen.
Um but apart from that, I was with them. I was with them. I was on the journey. We had a lot of different characters, and they were not afraid to say goodbye to them. Which I was fine. It was very refreshing not to like savor characters. Like you don't like pull them along till the end so that they can have like a heart-wrenching moment. Obviously, there was still emotional moments, but like they weren't they weren't afraid to to cut people dry, which I think made for an interesting viewing experience. So I really liked it, and that's somebody that hasn't seen most of the stuff that these people are from. I thought it was done well, and it looked good.
Well, I think that should actually definitely go down as a review in general because I think that everyone's whined for so long about needing to see every Marvel project, and you heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. You can watch Marvel Zombies even if you haven't seen everything.
Okay, peace out.
Peace.
Winds of destiny, change!